we have a very interesting topic coming up next, from litter to innovation. How many of you like this topic? Is it relevant for today? Yes, absolutely. We want to explore sustainable innovations aimed specifically towards transforming litter issues faced globally into valuable resources benefiting communities collectively here. So our first panelist is Richa Daga. She's a software lead at Cisco, develops cutting-edge products for the internet's future, an IoT thought leader and international speaker. Richa has presented at major conferences like Grace Hopper and IEEE Women in Engineering. She won the 2022 Women Tech Global Speaker of the Year Award and the 2023 Women's Professionals Award by Her Rising. Richa is also a best-selling author and leads Cisco's India Women in Science and Engineering ERG, advocating for diversity and empowering women in STEM. Welcome, Richa. Please take a seat. We'll probably need one more chair here. Next, we have Nalini Shekhar. She's a co-founder and executive director of Hasiru Dala. And Ashoka Fellow, Nalini has trained hundreds on sustainable waste management, worked with policymakers across India. She has co-authored Valuing Urban Waste and has spearheaded scalable waste solutions. In the US, she's contributed to anti-human trafficking legislation, advocating for victims' rights. Her passion is to work with the unorganized sector of labor, who constitute 90% of Indian labor. Is Nalini? Yeah. Ma'am, you do some amazing work. So. Next, we have Praveen Castro, founder and CEO of Unified Intelligence Private Limited. He has been on his entrepreneurial journey from the age of 18, creating a youth movement that inspired 10,500 students. He later pioneered eco-friendly packaging solutions, scaling operations to 3 plants, producing 75,000 refrigerated packages monthly. By 2022, he launched Unified Intelligence Private Limited, transforming single-use plastics into innovative construction materials. A champion of sustainability, Praveen's ambitious mission is to recycle 70% of India's ocean-bound plastic by 2040. Please welcome. I think 3 chairs are good. Sorry, I don't know why I asked for the 5. So, for today's session, our moderator is someone who brings 25 years of diverse experience in IT, healthcare, coaching, and event curation. She's a TEDx speaker, a dynamic trainer, and an expert in business development who excels at facilitating impactful conversations. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming today's moderator, which is me. So, I am the impromptu moderator for today. I've done many impromptu things like from holidays, dinners, to speeches, but never moderation. So wish me luck. So all of you are the experts. I'm just here to weave the conversation through. And if anyone at any... Have another mic?
Check.
I want to twist your question a bit. How waste picker contribute to circular economy? Little bit. Because I want to say that Waste pickers have been doing circular economy for many generations. It started in, at least in Bangalore, it started with bones in early 50s, then the coal, and then iron filings, you know, and then paper, metal, glass. Of course, then the plastic came in, right? So they have been part of the circular economy for a long time. Not only they're helping, recover the resource for and create raw material for recycling industry, but in Bangalore, our study showed they're actually saving 84 crore rupees for the city in just collection and transportation. And our study, GHG study that we did, also showed huge carbon footprint reduction because of their work. So these are the people who have been working for a long time. Now, there are a lot of newly introduced packaging material which cannot be recycled, and this is linear. So now the challenge for us is to how to make it circular so waste pickers can also get more jobs, better income, and better livelihood. Today, waste pickers are not paid the right amount of money for the kind of work that they do. So in circular economy, any entrepreneur, anybody who want to work in it, have to partner with waste picker to learn and also take them as partner in their journey. I would say there is a contribution of waste pickers, and there's also contribution of companies which are willing to look at material that can be recycled. So it is a journey together, I would say.
Yeah, thank you, Kavita, for your question. So, as we're talking about circular economy here, and if I talk about circular economy, project design, as you mentioned, so it's called circular design right now, where we are having 5 design principles that I would want to highlight in the tech industry. The first of the design principle is materials, because material is very important because whatever we choose, if it is recyclable or not, then it would just end in the landfills. So the material that we choose is very important as the first step in the tech industry. Second is how we are developing it. That is, you have the material there, but are you using standardized procedures? Are you modularizing the products that are being made? Because if you make everything a fit for every customer, then that every product is unique. Then you cannot reuse them for some other customer there. So it's not that it's a dress kind of a thing that you want to wear in a party, and it has to be unique every time. We have to reuse those products. So that is why modularization is very important as the second step. Third step in circular design that I would want to highlight is packaging. Packaging is very important because first, after your design has been made, a modularized design has been made, if you don't package it well with the right materials, for example, if you're using foam and non-recyclable materials, then that's not at all a step that we are taking towards a greener economy. The third step about packaging is very important. The fourth step is your product has been made. It is recyclable, but then if it is being deployed in the market and it is consuming a lot of energy, then there is no use of it at all. Because if we are not using smart energy usage of those products, then the carbon emissions would go very, very, very high. So that's why smart energy usage is the fourth principle that we highlight as circular design. And the fifth one is the litter, as we say. So back to circle now, if our product has served the market well and it is back to us, it should be recycled, repurposed, and reused. That is only possible if we use the right materials there and the assembly lines are equipped enough to recycle those products. So these are the 5 principles of circular design that I wanted to highlight here. Yeah, it completely matched.
Yes, I mean we have been in the pursuit of looking at waste from a perspective of its properties. Paper has a certain kind of properties. Plastic has certain kind of properties, and these are to use these properties and make engineering solutions is what we have paid most of our attention to. So as far as we have seen it, these are not wasted materials. These are high performance materials. They have performed very well in the market. They have done their protection, and these products engineered well are becoming more superior than the existing materials that we are using. Example, we have converted single use plastic into a honeycomb like shape, which is similar to how they build aircraft. and we make high performance construction material. This construction material today is using zero water to construct. Today in our traditional construction, we use 30,000 liters of water for every 1,000 square feet of construction. And we use zero water in that construction. The material is shock absorbent, so that means if you shake this room that's built out of it, there's nothing to fall on you in pieces. So, and it's also thermally insulating, so it's insulating you from temperature. So suddenly we're starting to see that this chips packet, which is the side of the street, being converted into something useful, is now becoming a high performance material. This is how we feel that the waste solution could be brought about, and the entire ecosystem from waste collectors to every company that is involved gets the value as long as there is a high end buyer at the other end. Pet bottles is a great example of it, because we do not find pet bottles on the side of our streets because Decathlon is making a track pant out of it and selling it for 7,000 bucks, right? So as that's a great example to show how a pet bottle has become a great product. And from there on, right now, you will just, if you go and give pet bottles to a scrap guy, today, ma'am, today is around 30, 35 rupees a kilogram, 25 bucks. So say 18 to 20 bucks is the cost of scrap bottles today. Why is that cost coming in? Because there's a high-end buyer at the other end. This is the way forward for us to engineer waste into better products than we are using today. See, this is what we are trying to change. This is not like, hey, you are eco-friendly, so you now come and use this. Why do companies not go eco-friendly? It does two things to them. It makes it inefficient, it makes it expensive. We have to resolve that. And how do you resolve that? You resolve it by through engineering. You're not trying to make them a sorry story. Please come and help us because we are trying to save the planet. So now come and help us. No, this is better than what you're existingly using. That's why they're coming after this. So it's just a matter of awareness that it's available, and then from there on they'll move. Thermocol was banned in this country. We made a replacement to thermocol out of paper, of recycled craft paper. It took us 7 years to get our first order. And we went to the highest levels of the company. The directors of, I mean, this is Adi Godrej. He mentioned he wants to implement this. After that, it took us 3 years. And after that, we saved them 3.5 crores of rupees, and then they gave us the order. So that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, so sustainability, it's not like, of course, we are doing it for the environment, we are doing it for the planet because there's only one earth for all of us to live and survive our years and for our future to come. But yes, it has operational benefits, and that is something considerable that I want to highlight here because I'm currently working in Cisco in the optical line amplifiers team, and we are building the internet for the future. And as we know, our internet needs, our bandwidth needs are continuously rising. That's why innovations are needed. But what if we were building the products in the same way like we were building earlier? Of course, that cannot support the bandwidth needs of the number of computers or the number of mobile phones, the data centers that have risen so much. So that's why if we use sustainability in our products, in the bandwidth world, if I want to highlight here, very specific examples of optical line systems. It will go a little technical, but I would want to put it here. We have routers and transponders to enable our bandwidth transmission. So suppose if you want to talk to someone in the US, the data is going over submarine optical fiber cables. And that is optical line systems. Earlier, we used to have transponders there, which are devices which are used to convert electrical data to optical data. Now, summarizing it a little, now there has been 95% reduction with the help of pluggables, small form factor pluggables that we can use instead of a very big device which can be directly plugged into the router. So we are able to save 95% of the cost there. And Cisco has a very like niche program of routed optical networking, where because of the routed optical networking, we are having pluggables directly into the routers. We are saving up to 90% of the costs. That about 400 gigabytes of traffic. Earlier, it needed from 2200 watts, it now reduced to 22 watts, which is the energy that is needed to get the traffic through. And now if we are using amplifiers there, a pluggable based amplifiers, now only a 5 watt small pluggable is needed to power the entire traffic on a point-to-point system instead of a big line card which used to go into the chassis earlier. So these are like very technical examples, but I want to highlight here that we have made such kind of innovations in the networking world where the power consumption has reduced a lot and we are able to serve up to high bandwidths of data. And this is now OPEX cost. So that is why operational expenditure reduces a lot if we build sustainability into our designs. And as per the economic benefits you mentioned, if we use recyclable materials, then the cost of building the products also go down. So that is why OPEX benefits as well as economic benefits are completely there if we try to employ sustainability in our product life cycles.
Typically, it's more expensive to recycle, um, unless efficiency is bought into it through design. However, um, the like I said, it is about performance, and if the performance is better, then there is no reason like any other material. It is just coming into the market. It happens to be made out of recycled stuff. It happens to be coming out of something. Nobody is really bothered today. Nobody will buy anything because it is eco-friendly. Okay, when you're saying that, when I make that statement, it is a handful of people who are very privileged, who have the understanding and little bit of extra money to sit back and say yes, it is. You want to solve this problem, it has to be better than the existing stuff, and it is. And when you buy it, it just happens to be that way. When you buy more of it, it'll continue to save the planet. This is how engineering needs to be. This is how product needs to be, and then it's just an output. Now, as human beings, we're suddenly realizing that the world is round and everything is going to come back to us. I mean, so it's just a matter that all of us have to just start doing this. Every product has to be like that. Today, the plan is that it is going to be thrown. So how is it going to biodegrade? This is a futile plan. We are expecting things to biodegrade, and that's why we are saying it is not going to be managed, and that's why it has to work that way. This is, I mean, it's not working, we know it. So it needs a facelift. We have many ideas on it, and I would love to dig deeper on it as we go forward.
Our sister organization, Hasudala Innovations. Hasudala Innovation is a sister organization. They are also working with a lot of brands to look at how to add this into their regular material, because we need volumes. It's a volume game, right? So, for example, H&M buttons, H&M, the buttons that are used in India and in Asia is all has about 100% recycled PET that is given by us, right? So we had to really work the system. It was not overnight, as you said. It took a lot of time. And, Unilever, for example, they have come up with their shampoo bottles, which uses 50% of our material. And there is a name for the first time in a shampoo bottle internationally. There's a name of Hasrudala Innovation as a supplier of 50% of the material given to them under fair trade, right? So this is the first time in the world that has happened. So we also have to identify what are the material that can be replaced within the present, brands or present material that becomes important to them and us. Of course, it will cost more, as you said. So there are some brands they're conscious of it and they do it. And so many people we are trying. This is just an example demonstration. Anybody can do this. It's the first time when it is done, it is a challenge. But once it is done, then everybody, all the ecosystem will say, okay, we can do this, right? So that is another thing. So we have to really look at the product, as she said, that is recyclable, and the recycling material can easily get into the whatever present market is there within that product, can we use it? Then it becomes much larger one. And he was talking about using it in the construction material. He's replacing some part of the construction material to this. Buying in is still very low. The sustainability people want it. Purchase people will negotiate it. Marketing people will say, no, my customers will not buy it. So we really have to work with all of them to make this happen. In the beginning, I'm sure now we have figured it out. So more brands should come forward to say, yes, we'll do it.
But I guess change is the fastest and the most possible right now. If the, I'm an optimist. I don't like this doomsday situation. And I think when we speak sustainability, we feel very defeated by what is going on. But I think the exact opposite. The trends that we have had for the last 15, 20 years are irrelevant for the next 10, 15 years, right? Knowledge of solutions, of accurate solutions, not greenwashing, not, I want to look cool. Example, making shoes, right? Is, in my opinion, there's 1,000 tons of dry waste that's produced in Bangalore city in a day. It takes 300 grams of plastic in a shoe. So of how much of a solution are you, how much of the problem are you resolving? Right? Being a large brand, being so much money, having all these resources, and making that impression, and eventually, what is the percentage of the issue that you're resolving? Right? It's too minuscule. And it is time that, because of this knowledge and the accuracy of information that all of us have now on our fingertips, I believe that the next reign of solutions that are going to come out are going to be so accurate, so precise, so clean, so cost effective, so scalable, and you will see a sudden and massive change in the way things will move. See, I would say that we will start seeing a trend that it is going in the right direction in about 10 years. We will see it moving in the right direction. And right now it seems like we're going downwards. Right? There's a negative feeling about this. That feeling will change, is what is my hope. I mean, even if you disagree with me, I hope you hope that I'm right.
I think because we have used up their resources. For sustainability of their own lives and their own family, they have to do it. And recently we had this fashion show where we had this, we loved clothes. And, and I'm telling you, the 95% of the people who were on the ramp were all Gen Z. So this is a hope. And they are much more conscious, probably they're taught, and the younger than them also are more conscious because they have been taught at school, and they come back home and said, Mom, why are you mixing waste, right? So I have a hope and with them, and I'm also very optimist. So that's why we are all sitting here, probably. And we don't, yes. No, I'm also saying lot of all of us want luxury cars, right? Lot of luxury cars has recycled plastic, but they don't want to tell you because people will get, ABS is used. All the plastic that comes out of the computer, ABS, is used in the cars, but nobody knows because they don't want to talk about it because they think I'm buying second-hand thing, giving so much money. So the attitudinal shift should also happen.
Like adding to the point here regarding cars, the car that is scrapped, most of the materials in the car is reused, and that is why the cost of the scrapped car is also high, because the material can be reused, the steel can be put back into remanufacturing a newer car. So that is why it is there that we don't know the importance of scrap, but scrap is also very important in making newer versions of the same things, reusing all the materials there which are very expensive, but that's why reused products cost cheaper because they use lesser amount of energy while they are being made, lesser water and lesser raw materials. That's why I would just like to say scrap is also important here because it can be reused further. Yeah, the waste pickers as well.
I think 2016 law, that was 2000 was first law and the 2016 law. Most of the content in it has come with our experience in Bangalore. Most of the segregation or bulk waste generator, inclusion of waste picker, it's all come from us. So in terms of policies, we have fantastic policies. Now we have to lead on governance, and it's not a rocket science to manage waste. It's only the governance that is required. So when you look at other countries, for South Africa, for example, have really taken our laws and looking at how to do. We have seen in Colombia and um, and one of some of the Latin American countries, including Chile, they really integrated waste pickers in sorting because the cost of sorting has come down because of that. So just they feel that the economy will also go. I just want to give an example. When I was in plastic treaty negotiations are happening, in one of the things, Sri Lankan person said, when the whole economy was down, it was only the recycling industry that was alive. So we have to really look at the minute we say waste is an industry, we will be in a different zone. And right now, waste is not looked at industry. And also, we want to see waste pickers not doing the work that they're doing on the street, picking up, but professionalize their work. And this is what Colombia has done, we have learned, right? What we have done, other countries are now implementing more than other countries. Whatever Bangalore has done, many cities we are replicating in India also. So I think there are basic things that are there in 2016 law is very, very, very strong. So if you are able to implement it in full, I think we'll be in a very good place. Sure.
So technological challenges are there because as I was highlighting about the design principles, they are easy to say but very difficult to implement actually. Because if I talk about the raw materials, the first step, what materials we are choosing, from years on we have chosen foam as the material while transporting because it is lesser of cost, it takes up lesser space, and that's why it can be used further for long shipments. But that just ends into the landfills there. So if we need to choose alternate materials, they would be expensive. So that's a conscious choice that we need to make, that right now if you choose this material it would be expensive but it is good for the future. So it's a trade off that the companies need to do, and that's why our company also does that. But that's a challenge because initially the investment goes high because you are choosing those kind of materials, like if you're choosing fiber based materials instead of the foam, so that the cost becomes higher. And in terms of designing also, it's not now, so we're talking about sustainability a lot, but earlier the products which were designed were basically upon the requirements basis. Whichever customer needed what kind of a product, we used to design it in that manner and ship it. But now if the choice of reusing it has come, how can you reuse the component if it cannot fit into another product? Because though that has been designed in a different manner. So if you need to change and alter the designs completely so that one size fits all, that is again a very difficult thing to do in terms of how our designs are being made. So these are the challenges in the tech industry as well, in terms of design, in terms of materials. But we do try to balance it out and then move forward with how more sustainable we can do, and to reduce our carbon emissions, because Cisco like plans to have a net zero by 2040. So that is the commitment. And by 2025, we plan to do that. All our newer products and the newer designs that are coming up, they use all these circular design principles. These are conscious awareness that we try to imbibe in, and we try to percolate in our vendors as well, that use these kind of products which are sustainable, because you are also accountable for what kind of energy usage these products are making. So it's kind of a balance that needs to be met, but the cost is a little high in the beginning. No, for these kind of things, it's not working in silos. For the circular design principles, many companies, we have our initiatives that come together and they brainstorm that what all can be done in the tech industry, which would be useful for the longer run. So for these kind of treaties, these kind of meetings are done there, where all the companies suggest each other. There are collaborations with researchers, with different colleges as well, because as we're talking about Gen Z, those people also come with greater ideas. So such kind of collaborations within academia, with industries happen to make our future a sustainable one. It's not working in silos, it's working with all put together.
First, I failed in all my classes. So that was the beginning of entrepreneurship. um, but we started back in 2004. We were actually inspired by Dr. Kalam's vision of ignited minds. He had written a book after the Planning Commission had written a book in 2020, I mean in 2000, that India will become a developed country by 2020. We are in 2024 and it's a very sad state of affairs. However, he was saying that we cannot achieve becoming a developed country unless we inspire the minds of the youth of this nation. It is at that point that we started back in 2004. We've always been in the space of trying to do something for the country and in space, and it kind of drove us into directions of materials and recycling and these kind of spaces. So right now, single-use plastic is our focal point, and it's via single-use plastic that we are doing our agendas, including empowering, the entire ecosystem that is into recycling. See, as an entrepreneur, when we thought about, wow, we're going to use single-use plastic and do this, we thought everyone's going to say, wow, beta aajao, beto, humko paise denge, ye denge, wo denge. But nobody was really bothered. And we went to some really premium offices, chief ministers, Indian Institute of Science, XYZ. But you know, the emergency, your question is about the emergency of the situation. I don't think so has been understood by even the top, government officers, leaders, policymakers at this point in time. Microplastic has reached such a point where 8 out of 10 blood samples today have microplastic. When they had, this is a weird analogy, I mean, weird example, but they had done, castration of men, and then they found single-use plastic in testicles, just to prove that it's gone to that level today. This is now, if this is not an emergency, what is? And if we are not dealing with it as saying, hey, that plastic on that chips packet, which I didn't really bother and I threw, has gone back into the ocean and has come back into me, that's karma, right?
Not the circularity that we want.
And there are some fundamental issues. Example, 1970, we introduced a campaign called Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle. This came out as a marketing, like a cool rapping, almost rhyming words kind of campaign, but it's not a scientific research and a conclusion of a scientific research. Just reduce, reuse, recycle is just this cool statement. From 1970, now we sit in 2004. Recycling has reached 9%. That means 91% of our stuff today still goes to the ocean. Reduce. We are due to increase 6 times by 2050. And reuse, none of us are reusing anything. Right? So, what happened to this campaign? Why has it failed so badly? And why is the future set of sustainable activities in all locations continuing to be reduce, reuse, and recycle? Is it really going to work? Is the money that has been spent less today? Today, we believe that this is not the solution. Reduce, reuse, recycle is not the campaign to be publicizing everywhere, because since 1970 to now, it has not worked. How much more time does it not have to work for us to realize that it needs to change?
I think today we run 30 drivers collection center. That means we are covering about 30% of the city. I'm telling you, only 40% of the material that come to our centers can be recycled. 60% is not recyclable as of now. And chances of everything getting recycled will take 2 decades. So it's better not to use it at this point of time. So but the challenge is, what do you do? Everybody say, okay, waste to energy aa gaya, then you put it. But what happens? You want to, you know, pollute air now, which we breathe. So sustainability is a problem of running that center. 40% of the money, 40% of the material that gives money, they have to manage this 60% where they don't get money at all. That is one. The second thing is, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are coming, which is good. Innovation will happen, but they're displacing waste pickers' livelihood. Instead, we would like them to be partner with them. A lot of people will come and say, we love waste pickers, we want to work, because nobody wants to put their hand in waste, right? But they don't want to talk about the whole supply chain. There is a waste picker, there's a scrap dealer, there's a wholesaler, there's an aggregator. So there's a chain that works. It is not just about them economically connected. I go to the slum, I talk, and I go back home and sleep nicely, right? In the night, if there is an emergency, the child needs money, she goes to the scrap dealer, who is her uh, socially connected people. So when we are talking about including waste picker and nobody else in the supply chain is a problem. So that has become a major issue for us. How do we, and we are showing how you can do the, include all the supply chain. So even the collection becomes efficient and cheaper. In the EPR, that extended producer responsibility today doesn't recognize waste pickers. They used to recognize waste pickers' contribution. Now they say only recycler. Let recycler do and then take it from waste pickers for extra money. We have never seen trickle down economics ever, right? So it never comes down. So I think underestimating the role of waste picker is a major problem. We are not asking them to take them because they are poor. No, they have the knowledge and the skill. Even after 25 years of me working with them, I cannot sort the way they sort. I don't understand the material and recognize the material, they do it. So there's a knowledge and the skill. You have to leverage that. Provide a better working conditions so their livelihood and also their living standards will go up. And the children want to come into waste at a higher level, not at a picking. So we have a lot of children who are aspirants of IAS also now. So there is a lot of commitment have been put in, and not commitment, but a lot of investment has been put in so that they get trained. We have entrepreneurs today. Indumati, she has gone to plastic treaty is happening now today in Korea. So she's been going for the last 5. She was a woman who was on the street picking up waste on the back. Today she has 2 companies, engages 88 people. She doesn't read and write, but she is actually filing income tax return and GST. This is the kind of investment we need. Look at them as your partners. Look at them as somebody who has a potential to become entrepreneurs. So when you're talking about innovation, just litter innovation is not just about the material, but also innovation about process and people.
I'd just like to say a small statement adding on to you. Just think of it this way. If waste is not collected for 1 week, it'll create civil war. Imagine day one, not collected. Day two, not collected. You're already fighting with your neighbors on day three. Before that, there'll be a few more. It is that critical. It is that critical. Next time you see one of these waste pickers, please look at them as champions of avoiding civil war. You know, of somebody who's keeping this ecosystem, and they do it silently in the back, right? It doesn't happen in front of you. That's why this is another big problem of waste. It all happens somewhere in the background. It's not something that happens right up in the front. And and these guys are doing it. And I think all of us, when we at least a small initiative we could do is, all ma'ams, waste pickers, or anybody else who are there, pat them on the back, treat them well, do something, whatever you can do to them to give them some respect and make them feel better as they're doing this activity.
Thank you for that. Um, we've talked, so I have a lot of thoughts in my mind. I'm kind of trying to coalesce them into one question. Just to what you said right now, Praveen, um, this conference is to bring together women in STEM, and a large theme that we've spoken about over the last 2 days is how historically women have felt unseen in regular conferences. And then we're like, no, we'll do one for us so we can see a room full of ourselves. And we'll bring attention to ourselves and talk about our problems. You're talking about another group of unseen with the waste pickers. So that's one thought that I wanted to talk about. And the session that we attended before this was around languages. I wanted to ask all of you, can we look at the lexicon? Why are we calling it waste? If it is recyclable, if it is going to be the next raw material, if it is something that we are looking to find investment in and capitalist value, we need to stop calling it waste so that the rewiring happens in our minds and to all the investors who need to see value in this. I think that would be something that I would just wanted to get your opinion on, the fact that we're calling it waste and waste pickers, and can we relabel what they bring to the table, because that has value in how you, to his point, champions, but not waste champions, you know, yeah, war avoidance champions, really.
The entire sustainability, what does it mean? These are words, right? The entire ecosystem needs a total rebranding. It needs a total rebranding. And the words we are using, the campaigns we are having, the way we are incentivizing the people in this ecosystem, all of it needs a change. And I think it's not a problem, but it's a phenomenal opportunity, because just from a business standpoint, there is billions of tons of this material. If you sell it at 1 rupee, it's a $1 billion company, right? From that, it's a, I mean, it's a very, it's a 50,000 feet view to a problem, but it is worth enough to create a rebranding exercise. It's a large enough market to create this. And I think, the minds are here, the minds are there today to start to do it. And I truly believe it's going to happen.
Our organization name is Hasiru Dala, means a green force. This is a name given by the waste picker. In fact, in the beginning, I was not happy with this name, but it is given by the waste picker. I can't say no. And we call them green collared workers, right? And actually, it is also, trademark. We had a lot of discussion with the waste pickers about it. I'm talking about the waste picker name. They said they have not even recognized us till now. If you put a fancy name to it, we will never be visible. Internationally, people decided to call themselves waste pickers. And this is the voice of waste pickers from around the world, which called it. And our law also, that's why we put it as waste pickers. In Karnataka, now the waste pickers have said, we'll call ourselves Tyajya Shramikaru. It's little more, giving more respect. It means um, people who labor, they had not even got the labor as a recognition. We had to fight for almost 3.5 years to get their labor union registered in Karnataka because there's no employee-employer relationship. So you have to be practical, having a nice name. A lot of people say it's resource management, not waste management. I think we working in the grassroots, people are saying, let them first give us respect, then we go to the fancy name. That's why we have not called it.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I would like to add here, this is how our search engines work. If you will give a fancy name there, no one will show you waste picker. So that is why those words become important right now. But going forward, if we coin and give them some other names and if there more articles come out regarding their names and the other usage, certainly we can
There's a
turn
time
that down.
for it.
There's
Yeah.
a time for it, and it will surely come.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
I think we'll take all the questions.
Uh, Thank you, everyone. That was amazing discussion, first of all. My name is Richa Gaur. I wanted to ask from all of you, so specifically in sustainability industry, specifically in waste management, there are a lot of startups that are coming up, specifically in the area of like recycling materials. Like some of them are as simple as making shoes out of plastic, or like there are multiple such examples. But a lot of these startups and like the kind of startups that we see in the waste management industry require very high upfront capital investment. So what us as technology people, what is something, what are the some gaps and challenges in the sustainability space, specifically in waste management, that we can fill as technology as an enabler, because this is not a technology first problem. So like what we can do what are the gaps that you see, because you are very much into the space and may have much more knowledge than us sitting outside. So what are the gaps that we can fill from technology perspective? And if not technology, what are the some lesser resistance startups or the ideas that can be leveraged to like convert it into a billion-dollar industry?
I come from a gated community in Hyderabad, and I have been segregating waste for many, many, many years now, at least for the last 30 years. I'm a big proponent of segregating of waste. So we have a dry bin and we have a wet bin and all that. And earlier I used to, keep an eye on who's coming to pick and all. Last, 2 months ago, I found my rack picker just dumping my dry waste along with my wet waste, my dry plastics. And I told him, I have carefully segregated this waste for you. He says, ma'am, isme bahut kam hai. And so he's just so that he doesn't have to carry another sack. So is there a place where we can educate these people in every state, any chapters where we can, I'm willing to send the community and, call the community people. All of us also should get probably educated into what can go and what cannot go and what is terribly wrong, because everybody would have segregated